Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you've never seen me before, my name is Chelsea and I write books about black girls who aren't all that nice. That being said, this is a writing update, writing vlog, whatever you want to call it. Super inconsistent, but here we are. So, that being said, a couple of things have happened since my last update. So if you guys are not watching my writing streams, that's cool. But basically the long and the short version of it is We Are Dying Gods is basically done. And I am prepping to work on my next book, which is actually going to be the first book in another series because I need a little break from the world of Wrath of the Gods. I know what's going to happen in book 3 for the most part, so I'm just letting that idea ferment in the back of my mind while I work on something that I have a little bit more passion for at the moment. So the next book, I've talked about it in a couple of different places, but I guess officially I can say that it is a book about a necromancer who wants to take over the world. The details are what I'm working on now. Like, I am in the plotting phase of the next book, and which is new for me because generally I am more of a pantser than a plotter, meaning like I know what has to happen in the book, but a lot of the stuff about how we get from point A to point B and so on in between is really like left up to whatever happens when I start writing. So that being said though, I've learned a lot from the first book, or the first series rather, between We Are the Origin and We Are Dying Gods and what I know is coming up for book 3. I have learned that when I'm starting a series, it's probably best to get some of this stuff worked out in the beginning. So that is what I'm working on now, and that is kind of where I'm at with that. If you guys want updates and stuff, I will say that I am involving my Patreon a lot more with this series, with this book and this series as a whole. So if you're interested in like images for the main characters, if you're interested in more of like the plot and stuff, what's happening, if you're interested in having like a little hand in deciding what happens in the book, I am interacting more with my Patreon and putting up polls, giving up updates, things of that nature that I do not include in these updates or what's in my newsletter. So get into it if you're interested. $5 gets you into the community, and there's a link in the description box below, but you can just go to patreon.com/CMLockhart if that's your thing and you feel like you want to support a black author. But that being said, for today, because today is July 10th, so Monday, getting off to a new week, start of a new week, there we go. A couple of things that I want to do today. First thing is I am going to be drafting my newsletter because it needs to go out. I've been a little bit inconsistent with that lately. Y'all know how I am. I have a lot of things going on. And one thing that I'm trying to do a lot more is like be better with prioritizing my time and what I decide to spend my time on. So the newsletter has kind of fallen off. It's still consistent. I still send it out at least twice a month, but it's not always like every other week. So take that for what it is. But plan for today is to get that drafted. I also want to download Scrivener because, kind of going back to what I said before, I want to try out plotting more, and I know Scrivener has a lot of tools, and a lot of the authors who I follow, who I respect, are like, hey, this is the tool that I use, and I'm like, okay. I didn't use it before, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, but basically the reason I think Scrivener and a lot of those plotting tools didn't work for me before is because when I started We Are the Origin, I already knew what the story was going to be. All of the details had been cooking in my brain for years, so I didn't really need to write it down to see it to be able to write the story. I just didn't need those tools, and it kind of felt like a rabbit hole that was distracting me from writing, especially since at that point, when I was looking at these tools at the beginning, I had not actually written a book before. And so I felt like, oh, this is just a rabbit hole. This is procrastination, productive procrastination, but still procrastination. And I just didn't want to go down those rabbit holes, which is why I was like, I just need something that's going to let me write, which is why I've been using the tools that I have been. And I still really enjoy Dabble, but I'm also realizing that having tools all in one place could be helpful. So my goal for this week and for like the next month really is to try the free trial of Scrivener to see if it works for me and kind of go from there. I also like the fact that it's only like a one-time purchase unless you want to upgrade later on in the future, but it doesn't seem like they have a whole bunch of upgrades where it's like, oh, every 6 months you need to download or pay for something else. So definitely want to give that a try. And I have a couple of other minor things that I want to try to get done today. I want to set up the Discord for what I'm calling my council. And basically for each of my series, each of my books, I kind of have like a small, very, very small handpicked group of people where I'm just like, hey, they're very involved with the writing process. So putting together the little Discord group for that. I also want to try out ChatGPT. I did an episode on the podcast with Celeste Hart, and she knows a lot about it. She's a technical writer, and her dad's a programmer, and she has a lot of insight for ChatGPT and how it's used and what it is. And after a conversation with her, I've pretty much decided that I want to give it a try to see how it works as a tool for authors and not to like abuse it, basically. So that's kind of what's on my docket for today. I'll try to take you guys along with me, but you know, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and I will come back with an update for you guys later. But yeah, if you're watching this, let me know what you're working on, what you're hoping to accomplish, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Hey you guys, so I am back with another update. It's around like 2 o'clock, so it's been a couple of hours since my first one. And basically, I have learned that I need to give myself some grace with the way my brain works, because at the beginning of this vlog and for like the last couple of days, I have been agonizing over the decision of, am I going to get Scrivener? Am I going to try it out? Am I going to like really get into it? And one of the things that I have been considering is the fact that I already have Dabble. Like, it's something that I pay for on a yearly basis, and I've already paid for it this year. So part of my brain was like, no girl, you do not need to pay for another service. But I was also like, what I said earlier, right? Like, there are a lot of people who recommend it, and there are a lot of people that I personally respect, like as an author, who are like, oh, it's really good, it's a really good tool, yada yada yada. And so like I downloaded the free trial, and I have been like clicking through it and kind of like seeing if it's for me, and I realized that it's really not. And it's so interesting because I'm at the beginning of a series, so it's not even like the idea of it is like super cooked into my brain. I just realized that a lot of the things that I was trying to figure out how to do within the program, I'm like, I already have systems for this. And I think that was kind of the aha moment for me. It's just like, yeah, I don't need Scrivener as a tool because I already have systems that are working for me. The big thing for me is that I just need to use the system. And it's just like another aha moment, like, oh, I am the problem. It is not the tool. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to give my brain some grace and be like, you know, a shiny new tool, shiny new app. I wanted to see what it's about. I wanted to kind of play with it, get into it, see what it was about. But now that I've spent I'll say a couple of hours, because that was one of the main things that I wanted to do today, is like get into it and see if it will work for me. And I'm realizing that probably not. The things that I'm using currently, like I said, I use Dabble as my writing software, and I use OneNote to keep track of all of my notes. And I've been using OneNote for a really long time, so everything in my notebooks are super organized and they're together, and jumping through it is really simple, and I can open up multiple tabs of OneNote so that I can compare multiple pages at the same time. And when I was going through Scrivener, I was like, okay, but what if I want to look at like 4 or 5 pages at one time? I know they have the split screen, but is that a thing? And it reminded me so much of this moment that I had over the weekend, where, like, slight aside whatever, over the weekend I purchased a MacBook, and I was just like, hey, I need a new laptop, and I am trying to get something powerful, and I know that there are a lot of tools that are like Apple only ecosystem. So I was like, let me get a MacBook, let me see. I know that it's a good product, and I know that there's going to be a learning curve, but you know, hey, if it's going to work and it's going to be the best thing, then let me try it out. And similar to what I just explained with Scrivener, I got the MacBook and I was playing with it and I was just like, this is probably a really good product, but it doesn't work for me. Like the learning curve is too high. And I was like, this is actually slowing down my productivity more so than helping it. And there were just so many things that I was just like, yeah, no, I don't really vibe with this. And there were so many things where I was just like, yeah, this is going to bother me like in the long term. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to switch ecosystems. I just need a better laptop. So I literally next day took it back. I was like, I don't need to keep this. I don't need to play with it. I'm not going to get, we're not going to do that. I'm not a Mac girly. I'm a PC girl and I'm going to stay in my lane. And I feel like that's how I feel right now with Scrivener. Like, tried it. I know that it's a really great tool, but even though like looking at it just kind of did something to my brain where I was just like, I didn't like it. It didn't feel as nice and as smooth. Like the interface did not feel like it appealed to me as much as Dabble does. So I was like, you know what? I already have tools that work. The big thing right now for me, for the reason behind all of this is that I want to get better at plotting, like intentionally plotting my books. So Dabble has a like plot grid within its thing. I've never used it before, but I'm like, again, I'm at the beginning of the series. I'm at the beginning of the book. So I have a couple of YouTube videos lined up. I'm going to like look into it to see like, hey, is it me or is it just that I don't know how to use the tool properly? Because I'm realizing lately there are a lot of tools that I'm just like, I don't know how to use them properly. So that's kind of like my plan, my level up plan for the moment is just figure out how to use the tools that I already have access to before like trying to jump and find something else, because there's a learning curve for everything. As far as the laptop thing, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about that as of yet, because like I have a PC, so I'm like, I may just hold off on getting another one for the time being, but you know, neither here nor there. Point is, I have been super successful with the other things on my to-do list for today. So my newsletter is scheduled and ready to go out for Wednesday. Like I said, I did try Scrivener, downloaded it, played around with it, kind of made my own opinions about it. I did start on my world building for this next book, and I did set up my Discord. So for those of you who don't know or you're watching this, one of the things that I do is I have what I am calling an author council. And basically it's like 3 people where I have created like a little private Discord server for us where we can like talk and bounce ideas off of each other. And I don't know if you guys are ever like this, but for me, I definitely have moments where I'm like, I just need a really quick piece of feedback on like a short little section. Like I don't need to send the whole book, or rather I don't want to wait until I have finished the entire book to get feedback on this one specific thing. And so most of the time, you know, as authors, we have people in our back pocket and people that we can tap on the shoulder and be like, hey, you know, can you take a look at this? Like, what do you think of this? Does it sound okay? So on and so forth. And so what I've done for this book, this series, and possibly going forward, I don't know, we got to see how things go in the future. I've just put together a couple of my author friends who have given me really good feedback. I can say that for me, the people that I have chosen have given me the best feedback and the most helpful feedback for both We Are the Origin and We Are Dying Gods, and I like them as people. And so I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Do you want to be a part of it? And I warned them like, hey, I'm going to be annoying. Like, I'm going to be tapping you on your shoulder. And all of them said yes. So I set that up today. Everybody's still kind of like sliding in, and we're kind of like setting a couple of ground rules and getting things organized. But I'm really excited for what this next phase of the journey is going to be, because like I said, I feel like I'm very much in a phase of, I don't know if I actually said this out loud or on camera, but whatever. I feel like I'm just in a phase of like trying to improve my process as an author and a writer, because I'm like, what worked for We Are the Origin and We Are Dying Gods, I want to like hone it and sharpen it to make it easier and more replicatable for the future, right? I just want to get better at it. I want to constantly be getting better at writing and being an author, so that, you know, I can A, do this faster and I know what the process is, and B, I mean, I feel like that's just part of being human. Like, we always want to be better at what we're doing, especially if we want to be good at what we're doing, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at as of right now. My biggest things right now are to just like get through these YouTube videos and then finish setting up my OneNote, because I am building a proper story Bible from the beginning, because I learned from We Are the Origin and We Are Dying Gods that, yeah, having a story Bible is super helpful. So I'm setting one up from the beginning this time instead of waiting until never, because I still do not have a proper story Bible for We Are the Origin and We Are Dying Gods. But that's okay. We learn from our mistakes and we move on. So that's where we're at. I don't think I will have another update for you guys today. I might be wrong, who knows? But if that's it, then thanks for watching. I think I'm just gonna do one day of updates and vlogs and then kind of go from there. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about like my writing process or how I'm setting things up, because OneNote is a free tool that I enjoy using, and I don't know, I just feel like that's gonna work better for me than Scrivener. So take that for what it is. But yeah, if you guys have questions for me about anything that I've said in this video, for sure leave a comment down below. And if you watched all the way to the end, leave a little green heart emoji because we love green around these parts. And that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the fun things. And yeah, until next time, you guys, I hope your days are lovely and your books are interesting. Bye, you guys.